I don't really get to say much simply because I can't condense this in a way that does justice to the material. But what I want to say to you is that welcome to the Freedom Teachings, since that is what they are, of the Azurite Temple, Emerald Order. And what Ashayana will do during the course of this weekend, and for those of you who decide to come to the round table classes the following weekend, is she will begin to introduce you to material which is pre-ancient, if you like, if you want to play the language of the spiritual movement. It's very, very old. It relates entirely to the principles of creation, the function of creation, our role in, and so on. So you'll understand that since creation is pretty damned old, then this work also is as well. The last time it existed on the planet as a body of teaching was over 210,000 years ago. The last time it existed in book forms, elements of the whole, was about 2,000 years ago, in the time of the people that you refer to as Jesus or Jeshua, or in terms of Voyager's material, Jeshua 12, John the Baptist and Miriam. Some of these books existed then, and it's significant that they were during the time that the reorganization and planning of what we should be taught from a spiritual and religious perspective, that the Bible left all of this material out. Why? Because it is your heritage. And why? Because it is your key to personal spiritual power. Everything that we stand for and represent, without trusting anybody in any way, without asking anybody to believe it, or to do as we tell them because we don't, everything is about your freedom. Everything is about your right to express as a fully realized spiritual being. And in our language, as the angelic human, you were and still are, but you were created to be. As guardians of this planet, as guardians of this galaxy, and as major players in a very, very big game. Bigger than you realize now, and I hope as big as you will come to realize before the weekend's over. Anyway, that's my stuff. Here's the best stuff.
Thank you. Thank you, Ashayana, very much for your flattery. Okay. I would like to, again, welcome all of you here, and thank you for coming to this workshop. This is an introductory workshop on Kathara healing. It's Kathara healing level 1 and an introduction to Kathara healing level 2, which has recently been put into the program. I say introductory, and it's kind of funny. For anyone here who has looked through the manual for the Kathara manual, you will see that an introduction in our world is rather detailed. There's a lot of information that we're going to cover. Before we get into technicals, I would like to first of all thank Monica and everyone that has participated in bringing us up here. It is an honor for us to come up here and share this information with you. It wasn't an idea that we actually had time for this year because our schedule is very crazy, going all over internationally and teaching and doing planetary good work. But a situation came up where one of the people who was teaching Kathara couldn't come here, and somebody had to come and bring the material to you because there were already people registered to come. So we were brought up here by Monica and the people who are working with her. And I would like to thank Monica and Cicely and Alexis and whoever else has helped to bring us here, because it is an honor. I've always wanted to come to Canada to bring the teachings because since I was a child I visited once in the Ontario region, and I always liked it here. I just felt the energy. I resonated with it in a way I couldn't understand. So this was a place that I always wanted to be able to come to bring these teachings, and now we're here. So I'd just like to thank everybody, and I hope everybody can appreciate the effort of those people who organized this, because they did most of the work of putting it together, just like we've done most of the work of putting the program together. Now, the program that we're going to spend the next, this evening and 2 days exploring is called Kathara. Excuse me. The Kathara Biospiritual Healing System. Now, this is a healing program that is built on what is called divine blueprint science. This is an ancient science that is more advanced in its way than what is called science in our world today. Yet it is completely translatable into what we call science today. What is most important about the biospiritual healing system that's called Kathara is that it gives us an opportunity to begin to understand the reality of what we are made of. Most of us have some idea that we have a physical body, obviously. We have a mental body of some sort, a mind that is aware of having a physical body. And most of us hope, at least, that we have a spiritual body, whatever that might be, because that's our connection to something larger than here, bigger than here, that gives us purpose and reason. Some people call it God, some people call it spirit, some people don't call it anything, but they sense that living life force that they're a part of, whether or not they have a body. Now, not everybody realizes that the body is just a very tiny part of the anatomy of the human being. It's only a very tiny part of the anatomy of matter. We're in a system that we have our bodies here, but we're also in a world that appears to be three-dimensionally solid. It appears to be made of particles, and our scientists tell us about quarks and all sorts of little subatomic particles, protons, electrons, all those things. So there's obviously a thing called matter that's out here. But behind this thing called matter, both the matter that our bodies are made of and the matter that the planet is made of, there is much more of an anatomy of energy structure. There's a structure called the Kathara grid. There is a structure of many layers of the Kathara grid that bring us up to the point where what is not manifest becomes manifest as matter. The power of the human being, the power of the human being as a spiritual creation, exists in those realms of anatomy that are beyond what we see in the three-dimensional form. Those are the areas of our anatomy that literally direct what our physical bodies will do. They direct our birth process, our aging process, our growth process. They direct whether we will be healthy or sick. If we don't understand the anatomy that exists behind our matter, we are going to be at the mercy of that matter. If our body gets old, we're not going to know what to do to change that, to stop it, or to fix it. If our body gets sick, we're going to try to fix it from the outside in. But if there's something wrong in the templates beneath the matter, we're not going to be able to create a permanent fix or a permanent healing. Kathara healing takes us into the core template of matter. It takes us not only into the levels of healing or holistic healing that are identified in things like Chinese acupuncture, which deal with meridian lines in the body, with Reiki systems of healing, which deal with the subtle energy bodies and chakras and using symbol codes to work with them. Beneath all of those levels of your body anatomy, your subtle body anatomy, there is a core structure that governs what your chakras are going to do, what your meridian lines are going to do, and what your matter particles are going to do. What's fascinating about learning your anatomy, it's like we've been going through thousands of years thinking that we only had, let's say, one hand and one leg. And we've been trying to get along with that one hand and one leg, not realizing there was a whole other half of our body that if we learned how to use it, we would be able to walk and function much better. The other half of our body, their anatomy, that we have not been using in the last 25,000 years especially, has been the part called the Kathara grid. The subtle energy systems that get into the primal life force currents and how they come through the body template to manifest what we call our physical form. But they don't only manifest the physical form. And this is why we call Kathara a bio, referring to biology, spiritual healing system. Spirit, consciousness. The consciousness that makes you aware of who you are today, that helps you to remember who you were yesterday, who you were as a child, the part of you that allows you to visualize who you might like to become or where you might like to go in the future. This part of you that you call consciousness is your spirit. It's right here with you. It's not separate from you. The Kathara grid template that your body matter manifests on is also the template of energy that your consciousness manifests into dimensionality through. It's what gets you into your body. If there are template problems within the human body, which right now there are on a global scale, and there have been for 25,000 years, if there are problems in the template, there will not only be problems with the matter form, there will be problems with the consciousness as it tries to get into that matter form. Right now, the way things work in our system is when we are in spirit form, before we enter a process called fetal integration, where we as spirit, consciousness, come into a body vehicle to have an incarnation here, we have a problem with the body pattern here because of template distortions, which means as soon as the consciousness comes into the body and intertwines itself with the DNA template, with the gene code, the DNA template literally shuts off about 90% of the consciousness. The part that's left here grows. This is what becomes the person. You remember you as a baby being. It becomes the person that you grow to be here. But the rest of who you are, who you were when you came in, is who you still are, but you don't remember it because you can't bring the memory of yourself as a spirit directly in, because the body serves as a light switch. It's turning most of the current off, most of the current of your consciousness. Now, the current of your consciousness, if you had it fully embodied as a human being with a human template, you would have a minimum of 12 dimensions of consciousness, not just seeing a three-dimensional reality field, but you would be able to access and move your consciousness and your body through 12 dimensions of matter, which means different matter density levels. We were, once upon a time, a species that was immortal. Our bodies did not die. Death is not a natural condition for the human body form. However, we've been dying for a very long time on this planet. There's a reason why we've been dying on this planet, and that reason is a genetic mutation. It's a genetic mutation that has been rendered on the deepest core template level of the subtle bodies, the Kathara grid. And because of that, literally, the way our chromosome structures evolve, the way our gene code in chemical terms evolves, is not what it was intended to be. It is not functioning on its original divine blueprint.